a great thing that you can do with your hair that will really nourish it and help it is about once a month just rub coconut oil into your scalp and also pull it through your hair and bind your hair up and leave it. And I do that. I try and do it once a month. That doesn't always happen once a month. And just bind it up and leave it there all day. And at the end of the day, shampoo it out. That's very nourishing for the scalp.
Are you tired of watching your hair thin out day by day? Hair loss is more common than most people think, and it affects both men and women. This issue not only changes how we look, but can also affect how we feel about ourselves. Nowadays, even people in their 20s are facing hair loss, which used to be more common in older age. At the young age of 25 or 30, many are already dealing with bald spots or receding hairlines. There can be several reasons behind it: hormonal imbalance, stress, poor diet, or even the wrong hair products. But what if I told you that there is a single cure that may help reverse the damage? Yes, a hair oil so powerful that it supports hair growth even while you sleep. So what is that hair oil? How does it work? And how exactly should you use it for the best results? Keep watching as we uncover the causes and treatment of hair loss and reveal a powerful oil that you can use before bed to help grow your hair back. But before we dive into the video, leave a comment below and tell us where you're watching from. We'd love to know. Now let's get started.
The colour of the hair, a lot has to do with genetics. My husband is white, and both his parents were white at 50. And my mother died at 51 with brown hair, and my father just passed at 92 with greying hair, but a lot of black. Now, there's my brother, then me, and 3 younger sisters, and none of us have grey hair, because from both sides of our family, there wasn't grey. Now, my father's sister, she died at 68 with brown hair, and at the funeral I saw my 3 cousins, her sons, that I haven't seen for a long time, and they're all grey. So they probably got that a little bit from the father's side. So Michael and I are interesting because we're both extremes, really. Both his parents white at 50 and my parents are not grey. But I also know that people have claimed to get the colour back in their hair by drinking a lot of green drinks. Now, what green drinks contain is a lot of minerals. And when you consider what we talked about this afternoon, that the mineral content of the soil is about 50% less what it was 50 years ago, that a lot of the foods today have less minerals in them. You see, in Australia, the soil is the plants are just put in year after year after year. What should happen is when a crop comes out of the ground, then the soil should be fed with rich compost, because every time a crop is in the ground, it's taking nutrients out. And if you don't replace the nutrients, then the next crop that's grown there is going to be nutrient deficient. So that makes sense, doesn't it? So really looking at agriculture is the only way to change the farming habits. And unfortunately, because there's big dollars made in big industry and growing lots of stuff and superphosphate, I don't know how that will ever turn around. But you can do the best you can. You can grow as much as you can. You can buy the best quality that you can. And you can have green drinks. So how do you have green drinks? Well, you can buy chlorophyll, you can buy green barley powder, you can buy wheatgrass powder, you can buy super greens. So basically taking that 3 times a day, making sure you have lots of greens in your daily salad will ensure it. You don't lose the minerals when you cook your greens. You only lose your minerals if you throw the water away that you cook them in. Now, in many shampoos today, there is a, there is a chemical, and it's called sodium lauryl sulfate. And sodium lauryl sulfate makes it foam. and it kills hair follicles. So it's important to buy shampoo that doesn't have sodium lauryl sulfate, because that certainly can contribute to hair loss. I don't know which one's my thick one.
This one, because the other one is open.
They're all mixed up.
This one, try this one. Okay?
So that's the foaming agent in your shampoos.
And some people say, well, I've been using that shampoo for years and my hair's fine, but not everyone reacts the same way. Some might have strong hair follicles that hold up for a while, but over time the damage can build up. It's not just about one use, it's about what happens after years of exposure. And then when the hair starts thinning or falling out, they don't connect it to something like shampoo. Also, let's not forget the role of stress. When someone goes through a long period of stress, maybe from work, relationships, or health, it can affect the hair. The body starts directing energy toward vital organs, and things like hair growth take a back seat. That's why people often notice hair thinning or even sudden hair loss after stressful events. Another thing I've seen is the effect of medication. Some medications list hair loss as a side effect, but people don't always read the fine print or notice it until much later. Blood pressure pills, cholesterol medications, even some antidepressants, they can all play a role. Hair is kind of like a report card for what's going on inside the body. If it starts falling out, thinning, or turning brittle, it's usually a sign something's off and needs to be fixed from the inside out.
Well, one friend of mine, she always dyed her hair. Her hair, she was showing grey hair from a very early age, and so from about the age of 30, she began to dye her hair. Now you can get a hair dye made of henna, and henna is a plant that can dye your hair, and that is not toxic. But my friend did not use that one. She used a chemical hair dye, and little by little it was killing off her follicles where the hair grows. So it can be chemicals on the hair. Another friend of mine did not like her very curly hair, and so all her life, from probably about her late teens right up until her 50s, she straightened her hair. Now the solutions that they use to straighten the hair, or for people with straight hair that want curly hair, it is a very toxic chemical. So what happens is, if a person wants to straighten their hair, what the hairdresser does is pull the hair over great big rods like that. And so the curly hair that's this curly, of course, gets pulled over them, and that straightens it. But if a person's got straight hair and they want curly hair, well, the rods are that big and they stretch the hair around and around and around. So whether it's to straighten the hair or whether it's to curl the hair, they put this toxic solution on. It's a strong chemical, and what it does is it breaks all the little joints in the hair, because hair has all these little joints like this. So what it does is it breaks the joints, and then it's molded, of course, around either there for the curl or there for the straight. And then when all of those little bonds are broken and it's been stretched into a certain shape, they rinse off that chemical, and then they put another chemical on to set it. So to set the bonds together, and then that sets the hair structure as straight or as curly. So basically that's how the hair is permed. When I first left school at the age of 16, I was a hairdresser for about 4 years, and we used to do a lot of perms. And that's how they perm hair, whether it be straight or whether it be curly. But when those chemicals are constantly going on the hair, little by little, they kill the hair follicles. I have also seen in some areas where people braid their hair really, really tightly. You'll often see that they've got hair loss around here, where you've got that weight, you've got that constant weight on the hair, which can really just keep pulling the hair out, and then the follicles are damaged. So no matter how it happens, we must stop what is causing the damage. That's the first one. If you don't turn the tap off, you're still mopping up in the other corner. Sometimes I see hair loss in a hormonal imbalance. So if it's a hormonal imbalance, then the hormones must be balanced back again. And that's where the Anna's Wild Yam cream. I have a presentation on balancing the hormones, and you can Google my name and watch that, and it will show you that the Anna's Wild Yam cream is a cream that when it's regularly applied twice a day, it balances those hormones back and can cause that hair to grow back again. Sometimes high stress, if someone goes through a very stressful situation, one of the reactions can be hair loss. So what can you do to bring it back again? There's one more that I didn't mention, and that's anemia. If a person is anemic, it can cause hair loss.
To help the body recover from anemia, the first step is to increase iron levels. This can be done by including iron-rich foods in the diet, such as leafy green vegetables, dried fruits like apricots and raisins, beans, lentils, pumpkin seeds, and red meat if the person eats meat. Alongside iron, the body also needs vitamin C to absorb iron properly, so it's helpful to include foods like oranges, lemons, capsicum, or strawberries with iron-containing meals. Sometimes, even with a good diet, the body struggles to absorb enough iron. This could be due to poor gut health or ongoing blood loss. In such cases, it might be necessary to take an iron supplement for a while. However, it's important to do this under the supervision of a health professional because too much iron can also cause problems. Now let's talk about hair regrowth. Once you've addressed the root cause, whether it's chemical damage, tight hairstyles, hormonal imbalance, stress, or anemia, the body is in a better position to regrow hair, but it takes time. Hair grows in cycles, and new growth may take a few months to become noticeable. In the meantime, gentle care is essential. Avoid harsh shampoos with sulfates and parabens. Choose mild, natural shampoos and avoid daily washing if it's not needed. Let the scalp breathe. Massaging the scalp with oils like rosemary oil, castor oil, or coconut oil can also improve circulation and support healthy follicles. Getting enough sleep, reducing stress through methods like walking, breathing exercises, or yoga, and drinking plenty of water all support hair health. And remember, hair reflects internal health. When the body is well nourished and balanced, healthy hair growth usually follows. Patience and consistent care are the keys.
But what can you do to the scalp to encourage the hair to grow again? You can make a mix that you can put on your hair. And this mix is, let's make up the mix. So half a cup of coconut oil, and half a cup of castor oil. Castor oil is a very thick oil, but castor oil penetrates deeper than any other oil. So when that is put onto the scalp, it penetrates even deeper. Coconut oil is a very nourishing oil. It's an antifungal oil, antibacterial oil. But what you also can put with that, so now you've got a cup of oil there. To that cup of oil, you can add 10 drops of rosemary essential oil. Rosemary is a herb that's specific for the scalp. Rosemary essential oil. So you could make up this mix in a jar and mix it very, very well, and maybe once a week you massage it into the scalp. Your hair will be very oily, of course, but you massage it into the scalp. Just even the massaging into the scalp stimulates blood supply to the hair follicles. That castor oil penetrates very deep, and wherever it penetrates, it can revive life into that area. And the coconut also is a very nourishing oil, and the rosemary essential oil stimulates. Every herb stimulates different parts of the body, and this rosemary herb is specific for the scalp. The massaging, so leave it in as much as you can. Maybe you choose a Sunday when you may be going to be home all day. And at the end of the day, you wash out Now you might need to put shampoo on a couple of times to get all that oil out. Just use a little bit of hot water and then a nice amount of shampoo. And if it's still a little bit greasy, maybe shampoo it again. Now that brings us to the shampoo. There's something that you must keep right away from, and it's called sodium lauryl sulfate. Sodium lauryl sulfate is what's in many shampoos, and sodium lauryl sulfate kills the hair follicles. So it's important to take a magnifying glass into the shop and read the labels. In places like Whole Foods, Sprouts, Trader Joe's, where they have a lot of health foods, so they have a lot of supplements, and they have a more healthier brand of products. So have a look for a shampoo that has no, so we've got to make sure you realise no sodium lauryl sulfate, because the sodium lauryl sulfate is a chemical that causes the foaming of the shampoo, and that sodium lauryl sulfate has the ability to kill the hair follicles in the scalp. So please keep away from that. You can get some very nice coconut-based shampoos. Coconut is very nourishing to the scalp. What's also important, here are some additions to the treatment. So additions to using this once a week. I mean, if you're home a lot, you might even do it twice a week. Exercise. What exercise does is it increases the circulation of the blood to the extremities, and the scalp is considered an extremity. So exercise daily, especially the high intensity interval training. The high intensity interval training, because of the periods of very high intensity, that really gets the blood moving out to the extremities. So that should be done daily. And hydration, keep well hydration. Remember, the rule of thumb is 8 glasses to 100 pounds body weight. That's a good rule of thumb too, to know how much water to give the children. Nourishment. We need to nourish that scalp from the inside, because your scalp is fed by your blood. That's why when you exercise, you get more blood to the area.
Exercise also reduces stress by lowering cortisol levels. High stress can push hair follicles into a resting phase, which leads to more hair shedding. By managing stress, exercise helps keep the hair growth cycle on track. Additionally, sweating during exercise helps clear out toxins from the skin, including the scalp, which may help keep hair follicles clear and functioning well. Even simple activities like walking or stretching can make a difference when done regularly. Consistency matters more than intensity for these benefits. And that wraps up today's video. Remember, taking care of your body through good nutrition, exercise, and stress management can do wonders for your hair. If you found this helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more tips. Thanks for watching, and as always, take care of yourself.